3, 2, 1. Hyperthyroidism. I can't spell it. I don't know what it means. That's why I got this guy, Dr. Joel Saylor of Town and Country Veterinary Clinic.
It's been tongue twister time, hasn't it?
I'm telling you.
Yeah, hyperthyroidism. So let's break the word down to make it a little easier.
Okay.
Hyper, think about the hyperactive child or hyperactive whatever, which just means over the top. Okay? So above, normal.
Hyper.
So hyper means above. Hypo, like a hypodermic needle. A hypodermic needle goes under the skin. So anything that's hypo is low. Anything that's hyper is above.
High.
So, and that goes to any medical term. So if you see that anywhere, then that helps you kind of differentiate what's going on. So you got hyper and thyroidism. So now we're talking about the thyroid gland. Lives right in your neck area, right just below your Adam's apple. Okay, and in cats get what's called hyperthyroidism, or excessive thyroid gland secretion. It's usually a result of what we call thyroid hyperplasia, which means excessive growth of those glands. And so what happens is you get an animal that's metabolism is just, cranking. Okay, long-term effects of that is you get a cat that seems to eat like he's got a hollow leg, but he can't keep any weight on.
Right.
And so they look skinny. They've got an unkempt coat. They a lot of times will have a very rapid heart rate, and sometimes even hypertension goes with that. So there's a simple test for that, and it's called a T4 test, and you run a total T4 test, and you'll see an elevation in that. Sometimes on physical exam, we can get clues in this. It will feel along the little neck area here, and we feel for what's called a thyroid blip. And if you're very careful and running it, you'll feel it go blip, because you shouldn't be able to feel it. But if you feel that thicken, I'm always wanting to run a T4 on them. Now, good news is we got 3 ways of treating it, well, 4 ways of treating it now, actually. The actual cure for hyperthyroidism right now in kitty cats is using radioactive iodine. And the referral facilities do that, as you can imagine, because there's radiation involved. So we're very happy for them to, put their employees at risk instead of us. But if you can't do that or can't afford that, because the price tag on that's about $1,500. Now, understand, though, that is a cure. Okay? The rest of them fall under management. Okay, and one of the more newer ways that we've seen is using diet, and actually feeding an iodine-free diet. The only one that I'm aware of that's out there right now is called WEAG. Okay, feeding an iodine-free diet actually will result in normal thyroid levels, interestingly. But the bad news is, and we find that a lot of clients will do it because they're simply not able to or not willing to only feed that food. Well, I really want to give them this canned food. Ain't gonna work. Okay, so it's got to be run by itself. The third option is using a surgical removal. That's kind of fallen more out of vogue because we've got more modalities for treating now. And then the last one is using methimazole, which is a drug that then chemically shuts that thyroid gland down. But over time, that disease can be managed quite effectively with 4 different methods. Kind of like diabetes. It is a long-term disease unless you're talking about the radioactive iodine, and it's a lifelong thing. But it's a very, very common disease in cats over 7. So if you've got one of those skinny old cats, we've talked about that on the show before, be thinking about hyperthyroidism as a possible cause. And if you can't keep weight on them, you might want to go ask about that with your veterinarian if that's a possibility.
All right, and we'll be back right after this message.